Are you going to put it on the screen?
No, you got to say the not so critical update part.
Oh, right. Sorry, I didn't realize I was doing the intro.
We've already
Um,
started. You're fine.
okay, great, brilliant. Right, 1, 2, 3. See. So, this is a story about um, the European Parliament. So IMCO is has basically said yes to new limitations on how tech companies like Facebook and Google and whoever can pull in data from other sources for profiling people and targeting them. And there's some very strong terms in there about how they have to have repeated, clear consent. People need to be informed about what it is that the data that's being shared. And there's a complete ban on any targeting on children under 13, which is amazing. And I'm just astonished it wasn't in there in the first place. And it feels like it's a kind of redo of the GDPR or something like that, with just like, okay, the GDPR didn't seem to quite work. And this is sort of smacking people around the head with it. That's basically it. That's brilliant.
And this is critical update. And cue the music, Mike.
We already did all that.
Oh, okay.
Really did that. Yeah.
We so this is Internal Market and Consumer Protection Committee voted for this to be added to draft legislation, presumably to be voted on by our larger body. And the two key things were overwhelming support of beefed up consent requirements on the use of personal data for ad targeting, and then a complete prohibition on the biggest platforms being able to process personal data for minors.
Mm-hmm.
And save me the embarrassment here, but Peter, you mentioned under 13s. Are we talking about under 18s?
Up to the age of 13.
Because we're taking a step in the right direction, but we should not be doing any tracking. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of these applications, TikTok, they shouldn't be doing any type of this stuff for any sort of minor.
That is absolutely true. Sorry, I didn't let you finish there before I was waving my arms around. But yeah, I'm like I said, I was amazed that it wasn't actually part of legislation already.
Yeah,
and maybe it is kind of, or maybe it was meant to be, and there's just too many loopholes. But that's my one big thing. My fear about this legislation is that we all know how cookie consent forms have worked out. Yeah, big win for everybody. But I'm kind of afraid that the people processing the data are going to implement the consent mechanism in such a terrible way that it's just going to annoy everybody.
Or they'll just add it to their terms and conditions. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. That you're joking about it because it's happened, but this is much more clear and specific, and it has to be repeated and unambiguous, and it has to be repeatedly verified as well. So, yeah, it's not just hey, it's in the T's and C's.
So you compared this kind of to GDPR. As our European correspondent, what is the European Parliament like? What's their jurisdiction here? Do you know anything about that?
Don't ask me about the political makeup of the European Union. I don't know exactly. There are so many
who are these people that they can make government?
The EU is made up of, now it's 27 member states, and they all have a bunch of common standards and freedom of movement. So you can go anywhere you like without a visa. You can go and
including you. Are you also part of that?
Yes, you know that I'm English, so Brexit just cut off all these advantages for me. So briefly, I'm waiting for my Maltese citizenship. By the way, I've applied, and I'm just waiting for it to happen. So anyway, the thing is that they have to abide by regulation that's put down by the European Union overarching body. So if there's a directive like this, they have to follow it, which is why the GDPR applies to any of the member states, any of the 27 countries.
So this is a committee within the European Union, the same governing body, but a new piece of legislation. Is that correct?
As I understand, yes. I might be incorrect, but
Okay.
basically this is things that companies operating in you have to do.
Okay, so a move in the right direction.
Yeah,
A move in the right direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
A
is.
small step.
I think it's quite a big step actually, because it's so clear from what I've seen. It's so, before it was too easy to find loopholes and put things in the T's and C's, or someone clicked accept cookies or whatever, without making it easy for them to opt out and all this other stuff. So this is really unambiguous about the intent. So, and the under 13s thing, like, why is that not the case right now?
Well, I thought a lot of these services, if not all of them, had a policy for prohibiting under 13-year-old
The
users.
CIPA stuff.
Sure. Didn't realize that it's just in America, but
I think it's certain types of activity. And this is about also sourcing data from other places as well. So Facebook can process that information themselves, but they can't sell it to other people, and it can't be used for targeting, for advertising. So I don't know the exact situation at the moment, but if they have to introduce it in this, it either doesn't work or it doesn't exist. Either way, it's
You said it's
hopefully going to be there soon.
Now unambiguous, and I just want to say, don't underestimate the powers of obfuscation marketers are capable of.
That's very true. Yes.
The logical manipulations, creative arguments. For example, I'm just kidding. So as a marketer, let me comment on this legislation. Should it go into law, or do you think you know what I'm going to say?
let's hear it.
I'm going to surprise you.
So
as a marketer, I will be very frustrated that I have one more stupid thing that I have to create a consent cookie for, whatever, to try to get around for my users. I don't try to get around it. I try to comply. I want to comply. They just make it so hard. So whatever. I'll be irritated about it. But you know what? I'm okay with it.
Well, one nice thing is that it levels the playing field. So it may frustrate you, but it frustrates all the other marketers as well.
Yeah, sure.
That's true. You guys can be frustrated together in your frustration room.
Yeah. I mean, people less honorable than myself will try to find ways around these kinds of regulations.
But not you, Mike.
No,
I mean, not on purpose. Some of these things are like the GDPR stuff is just super hard to comply with.
GDPR.
It's not about trying to get around it.
Impossible.
It's just really hard to
GDPR
comply.
GDPR in general is impossible. Legitimately, it is impossible to comply with. You can't.
Look, why not?
What?
John, he's asking you why not.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
You know what I heard? I heard, wow. I was like, huh.
Peter agrees once
That's
again.
what you hear in your head.
Why not? Why is it hard to comply with? Because
no. Why is it impossible? It's hard. I agree.
Sorry. Don't take me too literally. Don't take me too literally. It is possible to comply with GDPR. It is next to impossible to be fully covered.
Right,
Go read the requirements for being GDPR compliant. We are talking about a nightmare. Just a nightmare.
The thing is, any new system which is built from the ground up with those kind of things in mind. Yes, exactly.
Agreed.
The problem is reverse, putting it into these existing systems. It doesn't
also,
mean
if you're in the shitter, and if you're in the shitter, as in you're let's say an American company, you're not in California, you're in a very liberal state in terms of privacy laws, not in terms of government bodies. And all of a sudden you're like, I want to target Europe, and
it's such a creative use of the word liberal.
Yeah, it really was one of my better. Anyway, you now want to start targeting the European demographic, unraveling the shithole that you've created as SaaS
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so hard. It is
Yeah.
very, very difficult to become compliant.
I mean, trying
for
to
5 to 8
retrofit
years down
right
the
to
line.
remove could be nearly impossible.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
Peter doesn't
Unfortunately,
care.
oh my God.
Good.
No, I don't give a shit. I really do not care. I mean, you shouldn't have done it like that in the first place. It's build a better business model that doesn't rely on abusing people's personal
yeah.
data.
Also,
Sorry.
some of the GDPR requirements are kind of strange, like the right to the various rights that people have, that
Yeah.
EU citizens have. They're like right to be forgotten. Like,
Yep.
okay.
Right. It's a valid thing. There's lots of exceptions. It's not just like people write headlines about this kind of thing.
Right?
Yeah, there's exceptions if people provide, if it's for medical data, if you have given them consent and they are providing a service to you, if it's a national government thing. There's a bunch of them. But the right to be removed is something that people forget about all the time. The right
You
to
have it
deletion,
similar in California. Yeah.
And coming back to what you're saying about if you want to target Europe, then you have to, the key phrase there was this shithole that you have built. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And everybody has to do that. Europe's a big market. There's a lot of people here, and it's such a brilliant thing that as collectively we've said, no, none of your business. And now everybody has to abide by these rules, and they all have to do the same stuff. It's harder for the people who were abusing the data in the first place. So like Facebook and Google, because that's what they do. So, but it's easy for people who are handling all this ethically.
So I agree that this is a step in the right direction. I am on board with the legislation. I say it'll be difficult to comply, and I get zero compassion from Peter. Don't care.
100%.
Tough. Do it.
Tough
Suck
shit.
it.
Get it done. Yeah.
All right. Well, as long as we're clear on the situation.